All right. Let's see if this one's less of a scramble than the first one. Whew. Good evening. Hello. Can never remember which scene I want to use. There we go. Hi. My lighting good? It's fine. It's good enough. I gotta. My stream is on in my other screen. I'm such a rookie. There we go. Wow. Anyway, my name is Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a draft here on Underdog. The old MLB best ball season started a lot earlier this year than it did last year, and I am 34, I think. 34 drafts in so far. So we'll see how this guy fills up. We need one more. Let's take a look at our exposure so far. Go. All right. So here's where I'm sitting exposure wise. Not much has changed since the last time I streamed. I'm starting to get a concerning amount of Taylor Ward, and I don't know how I feel about that. But he was good until he got hit in the face last year. So that was interesting. With outfield being so shallow, he feels like one of the last kind of viable outfielders that you want to draft. So I've been getting a lot of him lately. I backed off because this got up to like 40-something%. I was like, I don't really feel great about that. Walker Buehler, I've started to back off him a little bit too, just because I feel like his price is about right now. I think there's still some room there, but I already have a ton of exposure to him, so I've been trying to kind of diversify a little bit. But I said, on the last time I did this, the first one, that I wanted to kind of make some stands in this particular contest and just hope I'm right. So I expect to kind of come in on like Hoskins and Paredes. I'm probably going to come in the 40% range on those guys. Buehler might be around there too. Ward will drop a little bit just because I want to diversify a little bit. But Glasnow is my second highest owned pitcher, and as far as where they're going in the draft order, he's my highest exposed of the upper echelon of pitchers. So his thing is always health, obviously, and we don't exactly know how the Dodgers are going to utilize him because they don't really need to go crazy with his innings. We're still waiting. All right, cool. Oops. So we just need a healthy season out of Glasnow. I mean, the dude missed 2 seasons basically back to back, which was a bummer. But it's kind of funny. The the Glasnow trade, my top 3 exposed pitchers are all Dodgers, which is kind of interesting. Dodgers do kind of funky things where they don't really let guys go deep into games sometimes. And on this site, quality starts and wins are huge deals. On other sites, namely the main competitor with Underdog, I think in the best ball space, they don't do bonuses or points for quality starts. So that's just one thing to really take in consideration on Underdog, is getting guys who are going to throw innings. That's especially important as you get later in the draft, to just try to find some guys who are solid that are going to actually maybe eat up some innings. You'll see my Aaron Ashby exposure's got up to 20% now, which is, I don't know. We really liked him last year, and then he got hurt. So, what if he just stays healthy? Oh, hey. Thanks for the sub. I didn't even know I had alerts on. I'm just finding stuff out as I go here, guys. Let's see. Are we drafting yet? Nope, still waiting on one person. That's fine. I'm good with that. Okay. So yeah, let's look at the pitcher exposures a little bit more. Hunter Green feels like a solid value where he's going right now. He is very spiky, so obviously he can get smacked around pretty gloriously sometimes, but he also has incredible stuff. And he's the type of pitcher that I think you really want when it comes down to the playoff weeks. Because, yeah, he could get absolutely torched, but he could also go out there and throw 7 innings with 12 strikeouts, and it wouldn't surprise anybody. Because that's just the level of stuff that he has. So I like him where he's going right now, so I've been trying to get a ton of him. Not a ton, but quite a bit. My pitcher exposures are pretty spread out, and I think that's probably going to be my goal this year. Because last year was so weird when it comes to pitcher injuries and underperformances at the top of the draft. I mean, we had DeGrom got hurt, Alcantara wasn't great, and then he got hurt, wasn't great first price. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Aaron Nola wasn't great up at top. Schreiner and Cole were. There were a few guys who underperformed. Dylan Cease underperformed last year. Well, depending on who you ask. I think the projection systems didn't really like him last year, and I will take my L on Dylan Cease because it did not go well for me. I had him everywhere. Both contests, both preseason contests here, the in-season contests, I had him over on DraftKings as well. I was a big Cease believer, and then he crushed my soul. So very, very unfortunate for me. I'm still waiting on one more. Cool. I haven't actually done this when one fires up immediately. I draft on my phone all the time, so I rarely do it on my laptop. Let's look at more pitchers. Bradish. I thought I had more Kyle Bradish. I need to probably get more of him. I think he goes way too late for how good he can be. This Mason Miller thing is embarrassing. I for some reason assumed he was going to be a starter. And I was like, oh, hey, cool. Last round Mason Miller. That's great. And I'm a donkey because all the signs were there that they were possibly, at least possibly, if not probably, going to put him in the bullpen. And if you've ever played on Underdraft, what am I doing? If you've never drafted on Underdog before for an MLB best ball contest, relievers are completely and totally useless. So I've got 7 teams that are unfortunately pretty much dead. Well, not dead, but they're missing a pitcher slot. I think on every team I drafted him on, it's a 7-pitcher team, though, so I still have 6 viable guys left, which is good. So I don't mind that. Sorry, I need to put my transition up here. Okay. All right, good. Yuri Perez, very, very talented youngster in Miami. He's going in like the hundreds now as far as ADP goes, like top 100 picks. And I think there's still some value there. I know our guy Brendan Tuma, who works over at Underdog, and he's been pretty active in the kind of content space. He's one of the guys who does stacking dingers, and they they've been looking at last year's data and all that, but I believe it's Tuma, it might be baseball, really thinks that Perez is a good value, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm remembering that incorrectly, then I'm sorry. But Shane Baz is another guy who's ultra talented. We just don't really know what his innings are going to look like this year. Tampa Bay can ease him in or back off of him toward the end of the year. One of those two things is probably going to happen because he's young and he was hurt and they don't want to rush him back because there's no reason to. But I like the skill set a lot for the price. And so I've been taking him as one of my like kind of last round guys. Another pitcher that I've been targeting that I think might be undervalued is Carlos Rodon. We have no idea what we're going to get out of him. Like his 2022 was absolutely insane. And even his 2021, the innings that he did pitch, he was very, very effective. But the story of this guy's career, having observed him in the White Sox organization for years, hashtag underdraft. I know. Yeah, I butchered that one. I think that there's some huge upside to him if he can just stay healthy and put it together. I don't really want to reference last year and use that too strongly as a barometer. Oh, hey, a draft started. Didn't even know. Great. So we've got the 11th pick. Everything kind of went normal. Soto has flipped Aaron Judge in ADP, which I find very, very interesting. But I'm going to take Kyle Tucker here because Jordan was going to get autoed. It's really hard to escape the first round without taking an outfielder for me. It just doesn't feel good. I think I'm gonna go Tucker Harper here. I like that start. I don't know if I have any Tucker Harper teams right now. I might have one or two. Dude, I cannot get one of the first three picks to save my life. I have one share of Acuna, Soto, and Judge each, and that's it. I've gotten the 7th pick, what feels like half my drafts, which I know isn't the case, but feels like it. So I'm hoping I can get lucky and get a couple of those top 3 picks because not having hardly any of Acuna, Judge, and Soto does not feel good at all. But the only way, well, actually, I've seen this happen a couple times recently. So Tatis going 3rd. I mean, that makes sense. I saw an Ohtani 3rd overall earlier. I think he's going to get, maybe a little extra. I mean, he's already going in the top 7 picks, so how much more steam can he get? But he may work himself up to like the top 4 or 5. I'm not like head over heels in love with drafting Shohei Ohtani right now. I'm not fading him necessarily because I think that's not wise. And I know his surgery was different than Bryce Harper's, so it's kind of hard to compare the two. But it took Bryce a while to get his power stroke last year. And I don't know that I want to use first round draft capital right now until we know a little bit more about, are they going to ease him in at all? Or are the Dodgers going to let him play from day one? The reasonable assumption, I think, is that he's going to play day one based on what we know so far. I haven't seen anything to the contrary, but if he misses any time at all, it lowers, I don't know, it lowers his value a little bit for me. It depends on him. Like if he misses a week, who cares? You can survive a week without him. So I've only drafted him, I think, twice so far. I've been going out of my way to get more Yordan Alvarez in that first round. Just trying to pick up some guys around Ohtani while we just kind of wait for more information. But I'm sure I'll wind up, even with the field, at least maybe an 8% exposure to Ohtani once it's all said and done. I don't know if it'll be in this contest, but when we start drafting the dinger, I'm sure that my exposures will even out there. So drafting 11th, I kind of feel like I got a little lucky to get one of the outfielders there. In 11th or 12th, I've been just, if there's no outfielders, I've just been trying to double tap infielders and just kind of create different combinations. I think I've only had like a couple shots at doing that, so I know I've got a couple of Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson teams because that feels really good to double tap those guys. I'm hoping that on the way back here, I have one of Luis Robert or Christian Yelich available to me. Gonna have to get pretty lucky, I think, for that to happen. Adolis Garcia is completely undraftable right now for me at his ADP. I don't dislike Adolis Garcia. I think he's good at baseball. But it just feels like you're drafting him at his absolute ceiling in that spot. He had a great year last year, obviously, but I do fear that is his ceiling, and you're paying for that. There's not much wiggle room. I don't think we've seen Luis Robert's ceiling yet. The only problem with Luis Robert is that the White Sox are ass. So there's that. Wow, Glasnow went 33rd overall. That's a decision. I'm hoping our guy here leaves me Yelich. That would be lovely. I'd be happy with Simeon too. Feels like Simeon's a little too cheap. A little bit. Texas' offense is just so good. All right, we're going to auto-draft Simeon, aren't we? Yay. All right, Christian Yelich it is. Cool. I like that. So far, we've got... Am I stuck? Am I frozen? What's going on here? Yeah, I mean... I make a good point, right? That they're ass. I don't really know how else to say it. It's a terrible organization. I've been getting quite a bit of Brian Reynolds. Just from a construction standpoint, I think. All right, we're gonna get silly. I'm gonna draft. I don't want to draft Ellie De La Cruz. I'm gonna do it. I don't have any Ellie De La Cruz. Figured why not? I'll go ahead and draft my first share of him on stream. There we go. His upside is monstrous with his power speed combination, so I definitely get the appeal. That Reds lineup is going to be fun, really, really fun to watch this year. Obviously, he plays in the Great American Small Park, so that helps. He had an issue with swinging at absolutely everything kind of after he first came up last year. And I believe he pared that down a little bit, which is a good thing. So I don't know. I have 0 of him. That's the first time I've drafted him. And I feel like completely fading a guy like that is ill-advised. So we're just going to take a shot and see what happens. Why can't I see my team? Shut up. There we go. Okay. So, right now we've got Tucker, Harper, Yelich, and Ellie De La Cruz. It's hard to not like your team after 4 rounds because, I mean, you're drafting just incredible players. I do wish Ellie was a little bit cheaper, but it'll be interesting to see which way his ADP goes as the draft season goes on. Like, I could see people starting to come off of him a little bit. Well, not come off of him, but I could see his ADP going either way, honestly. I'll work on my camera placement. I know it's kind of hard to see my team because my stupid face is right here. Let me try to shrink my head real quick while we're live. Whoop. There we go. That's good enough. I'll make it a little bigger. Go up here. All right. Hopefully that's better. Let's see. We're going to be... Let's look at the board real quick. Wow, this guy. Polo Reagan. 4 straight pitchers to start the draft. That's wild. I mean, I guess. There's a very clear, from everything that we've seen so far, all of the data from the Dinger and the contest last year would point to optimal construction is balanced. So just 6 or 7 at every position. Obviously, there's 20 rounds. So it's either 6-7-7, 7-6-7, or 7-7-6, right? Meaning, that's by position. So, 6 pitchers, 7 infielders, 7 outfielders. Hey, what's up, Primetime? Thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate you. All right, that's you. I know now. I'll keep an eye out for you. I saw your car saga on Twitter, man. I'm sorry to hear about that, dude. Hope all is well. It'll all work out. Perspective. Everybody's fine. Everybody's healthy. It's just cars, But that sucks. I feel bad for you, man. That's all right. All I got to do is just, draft the team that's going to... Okay, don't draft the team that's going to win in this lobby. Do it in a different one if you could. All right. Jack Sawinski at 58. Okay, we've got some weirdness going on here. I am not in love with George Springer, but I kind of need an outfielder from a construction standpoint, and I don't have any, so let's just make this be the draft of guys I don't have yet. Prime time, it's always darkest before the dawn. I know it's corny, but you'll bounce back, man. I need a pitcher. And I'm going to go with the upside of Freddie Peralta with his strikeout ability here. I like George Kirby a lot. I've just kind of forced myself into a situation with this team that I've drafted where I think my first guy needs to be a pretty high upside strikeout guy. So Peralta had a really good year last year. He's going to be one of the anchors on that staff. Is Corbin Burns going to get traded? Is that going to be a thing? I don't think so. The Brewers feel like they're doing this thing where they're like, it reminds me of what the White Sox did for 10 years in the late 2000s, early 2010s. They were doing this modified rebuild nonsense, which is nobody's ever done, and there's a reason, because it doesn't work. But it doesn't really feel like the Brewers are going for it, but also it doesn't really feel like they're giving up. So I don't really know what they're doing. But one of the guys that I was targeting a lot last year as a late round infield draft, Rowdy Tellez. He is no more in Milwaukee, so rip Rowdy Tellez. We shall miss you. But their lineup is probably going to be good. Just losing Brandon Woodruff is painful. I know everyone's excited about Jackson Chourio. I was hoping I would get to see him in person for the Nashville Sounds, but they signed him to a major league deal, so I think it's a reasonable expectation that he'll be on the opening day roster. There's There's some fun names in that Brewers outfield, especially if you're looking for like a stab in the dark kind of guy in the last round or last rounds of the draft. Sal Frelick's worked his way up to ADP like 220, I want to say, so 18th round ish. I've been drafting more than Frelick. I've been drafting his teammate Garrett Mitchell a little bit lately. Um, that's just, I mean, he was a former first round pick. He's got a power speed combination thing. I think that there's hopefully some upside there, but my concern with him is playing time. My concern with any of those, not any, either two of those outfielders, Frelick or Garrett Mitchell, is they get stuck in a platoon situation or something where they're not playing every day. But I'm willing to take a stab that late at a guy like Garrett Mitchell, if need be. So we've got 2 picks. We've got a couple of weird teams ahead of us here. I don't know if it's customary to highlight these guys, but I want to know what my competitors are doing. Yeah, this guy's got something going on with his ranks or something. He's like snap picking these guys too. This is weird. I talked about it earlier. Well, you know what? Let's just go high upside arms. Let's go Grayson Rodriguez. And then we'll see what's left on the way back. Soler feels really good here too. Bobby Miller just went. Yeah, let's just do high upside arms. I don't know if I want to do that on this team. Tucker, Yelich, Springer. Let's do it. Let's go Carlos Rodon. Let's hope for a bounce back year. I mean, he's got the talent to be a top 10 pitcher. I think last year we were taking him as like the, I don't know, 6th or 7th pitcher off the board. I'd have to look. I don't remember. But I know just because we were taking him there last year doesn't mean we should be this year, obviously. But he got hurt. Took him a while to come back. When he came back, he was bad. But I like to believe that was just him kind of ramping up the speed and just getting the crap beat out of him by guys who were, playing all year. So I definitely think that there's some upside at this price for a guy like Rodon. Again, when we look at what he did in 2022, and even in his 130-ish innings in 2021, there's absolutely massive strikeout upside there. He's just got to stay healthy, which he's really only been able to do 1 year in his career. So, which is unfortunate because he could have been a thing. And who knows, he might still be. I think he's still relatively young-ish. All right. Our guy prime time's on the clock here. Verlander. Okay. I don't have any Verlander. I have none. And I'm probably going to, right now, if you ask me right now, I'm probably going to keep it that way. I fear that Father Time has come to claim the souls of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander both. So they're basically on my do not draft list right now. I mean, Scherzer's going to miss till like June or July because he had back surgery. So that's going to wind up working out okay for me. But the Verlander thing does scare me because he's just a good pitcher. He's just great. He's a Hall of Famer. So primetime goes double pitcher there with Verlander and Joe Ryan. I love Joe Ryan this year. I think that's a great price for him. If I kind of like this team's funky for me. With having two guys I have not drafted. I may have drafted Springer once. I don't remember. But I know I haven't drafted Elly De La Cruz a single time yet. So we'll just kind of see what we get coming up. There's a couple guys in this range that I really, really like. I hope that Tuma doesn't watch this stream because he's going to have to hear me admit that I have zero Tristan Casas. And that feels absolutely horrible. But I just don't know that it's necessary here. You Darvish, huh? I think both from... Oh, man. I think we're going to go Riley Green here. My outfield needed another bat there. Yeah, Sheep. First off, thank you for showing up, Dark Sheep. Wow. Welcome in. Second, all right, Tuma, here you go. This is for you, buddy. I'm doing it. I'm going Tristan Casas. I don't know if you'll see this at all, but he was there. We got a discount on him, and we're doing it. But yes, Sheep, I agree. I absolutely think that Verlander could still be good. But I don't know that strikeout upside is there anymore. And it just kind of feels like a safe-ish pick in that range. Where did he go? 94th. So it doesn't feel bad to take him at that spot. And that's not at all what I'm saying. It's just I gravitate, especially in these like mid rounds and you know, the stacking dinger guys, of which Dark Sheep is one of them. Sheep, I watched that second episode of your guys's, where you really, you know, both episodes where you guys have kind of dove into, you know, last year's stuff, but the middle round pitchers last year really, really carried teams. The early round guys did not. So when I'm looking at these middle round pitchers this year, I'm primarily looking for guys who have like strikeout upside. And I question if Verlander still has it. Not questioning if he's a good pitcher still. I need the strikeout upside. So let's recap the team real quick. Just in case for the audio listeners, I need to do a better job because I can't assume that you guys can have your eyes on the screen the entire time. But we started in the 11th spot, and Kyle Tucker was still there, which was great. So I went Tucker, Bryce Harper, and then third round was Christian Yelich. Fourth round was Elly De La Cruz, which is my first share of Elly De La Cruz. You know, no time like the present, I guess. And then we went Springer in the fifth, Peralta in the sixth, and then we went with Grayson Rodriguez and Carlos Rodon in the seventh, eighth. Yeah, gotta find this year's Snell. Well, for me, if I may victory lap one of my like three major W's from last year, I gotta find this year's Zach Gallen. But yeah, Snell was obviously one of those dudes too. But I was all over Zach Gallen last year, and he was I believe he was the highest advancing starting pitcher in the entire contest last year. So I'm going to take Kyle Bradish here because I think he is too cheap at pick 131. Kind of feels right. And then we're going to have another one coming up quickly. Trying to decide what I want to do here. All right. I think that we've all forgotten how good Chris Bryant was. And I say was because the dude cannot stay on the field the last couple of years, which is annoying because he's great. And he hadn't had any health issues prior to the last couple of years. This dude won, what was it, Golden Spikes, I think, then Rookie of the Year, then MVP in like 3 consecutive years. And he plays in Coors. I'm willing to roll the dice on a guy like him bouncing back and staying on the field. I know he only hit, I think, was it 10 home runs last year or something? But I'm chasing not what Bryant used to be, but I think he can be closer to that than what he's been. I want to see him play more than like 60 games. So fingers crossed that he can actually pull that off. I don't really have much injury risk on offense. Well, let me back that up. Springer has a little trouble staying healthy. But I just like the possible upside of Chris Bryant in that spot. Sheep, don't think I didn't see you take him earlier. So I know you think the same thing, maybe, hopefully. But it just, I want to see him play a full season. If he plays a full season in Colorado, I think he can put up some numbers. So that's what I'm betting on. I'm not like overexposed to him. I don't have a ton of him. I mean, I'll take a look real quick to see. Completed. What's my Bryant exposure? So 12%. That feels good to me. I don't mind that at all. Drafts active. Sorry guys. I needed to answer that question for myself. Shut up. All right. So we've got a 4-3-5 build going right now. And through 12 rounds, that feels pretty good. I've got some very high upside infield bats, which feels good. With my next pick being 8 picks away, I mean, I have to do it because of wait, hold on. Yeah, hold on a second. I know one of you's in here. Can't give it away. Sheep, I'm really stuck on your gotta find this year's Snell. That's accurate. Hunter Brown feels a little too cheap at 133 for his strikeout upside. There's some funky stuff going on in this room. Lucas Giolito going 145. Tyler O'Neill going 146. This is a weird draft room. He's in the thumbnail. He's in the thumbnail. Steamer, using our guy Baseball. So that's B3ISBOL. He is on Twitter, B3ISBOL. If you play MLB Best Ball and you do not follow B3ISBOL on Twitter, you are making a mistake. He has a sheet where he used Steamer's projections with Underdog scoring and has ranks based on how that's going to shake out. And we are getting a top 40, top 45 bat in the 146 ADP range. And if Mr. Bug does not snipe him, I have to draft Rhys Hoskins again. I can't stop doing it. I cannot stop doing it. I refuse. He's not even signed yet. And I almost don't care. He's been linked to Seattle lately, which I don't really love. I would love to see him on the Cubs. That would be awesome. Oh boy, I'm a little thin-ish at pitcher right now. Um, do we go Erod? Yeah, I like it. I like Eduardo Rodriguez in Arizona. I think that's a nice little fit. All right, recapping draft so far. We're through 14 rounds. I got a 5 pitcher, 4 infielder, 5 outfielder build. Pitchers are Freddie Peralta, Grayson Rodriguez, Carlos Rodon, Kyle Bradish, and Eduardo Rodriguez. Infielders are Bryce Harper, my first share of Ellie De La Cruz, my first share of Tristan Casas, and I've done 35 drafts, what feels like my 33rd share of Rhys Hoskins. And then outfield, Kyle Tucker, Christian Yelich, George Springer, Riley Green, and Chris Bryant. I really need Riley Green to stay on the field. I said earlier I don't have much injury risk on this team. That was a completely incorrect statement. Springer, Green, and Bryant have had a little trouble staying healthy the last year or two. That Tigers team is going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun to watch. Not only do they have a brand new announcer in Jason Benetti, who used to announce for I can't associate anymore. But the White Sox basically said, hey, we have one of the best broadcasters in baseball. Why don't we go ahead and let him go to a division rival? Makes sense. Good job, guys. Wonderful. The one reason I had to watch the broadcast because the team is trash and he's in Detroit. Anyway, the Tigers are going to be fun to watch this year. Their pitching's probably going to be a little Tarek Skubal is he's going to be just everywhere in articles and content this year for fantasy baseball. Their starting rotation isn't great, but that offense could be really, really fun. So we need to see a full year out of Riley Green to know what he is. But I think Steamer likes him well enough for his current range. Steamer does not like Justin Turner, and that seems odd to me. I just think Justin Turner's just a good hitter. Straight up. Oh, there he goes. Lourdes Gurriel's ADP's jumped a little bit since he re-signed with the Diamondbacks. Okay, that's fine. Doesn't really do much for me. I'm getting quite a bit of Jarren Duran. Our guy Baseball's Sheet really likes him, so if he's bad, I'll blame Baseball for that. Even though he's literally just using Steamer stuff and converting it over. Does the community a great service by creating those sheets. I've seen people drafting Jacob deGrom. I think we have to keep in mind that the season this year for this contest ends earlier than it did last year. I believe it's like at the end of the first week of September or something. Let me think this through. Bailey Ober just feels like he's not like exciting at all, but it just feels like a safe pick in this range. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I've got quite a bit of him. Alek Manoah is the guy in this range I just don't know what to do with. It's so hard for me to believe that he's just suddenly really, really bad at baseball. He was awesome in 2022, and last year was just horrendous. So horrendous. I don't know what to make of this dude. Like, obviously, if he's as bad as he was last year, he's quite literally completely undraftable. But if he bounces back at all, at pick 193. You're getting him in the 16th, 17th round. If he does bounce back at all, like especially if he becomes 2022 Manoah again, I mean, it's just a freaking smash. So I have no idea what to do with him. I think I've only got 2 or 3 shares. I think he's a guy I'm probably just going to fade for the most part until spring training. We see something, anything out of him. But he's a guy that I keep looking at, and I keep not clicking his name because I don't know what he is. But to my point earlier before I cut myself off, contest ends earlier this year than it did last year. So where I was going with that, Jacob deGrom, Robbie Ray, these guys who have a ton of upside, who are really solid pitchers, I don't know that they're draftable in these contests. You're really, really banking on getting through your pod, getting through this first round, being down an arm the entire season, getting through probably the first round of the playoffs while they're ramping up, and then hoping that they're fully healthy and get a full complement of innings when you get down to, crunch time with the playoffs in this format. So if you think you can make it through all that and get to mid to late August, deGrom or Ray could potentially make an impact, but it is, I think, wildly risky to have either of those guys on your roster. I think it makes more sense if they're like your last pitcher in kind of thing. So if you have 6 healthy guys and then you finish it off with a deGrom or a Ray, I like that much more than, them being your, well, if they're your 4th, you're sunk, but your 5th or 6th guy. It's risky. Could absolutely pay off, but you need a lot. You need a lot to go right. So I hope that works out for you. Prime time, because obviously deGrom's great, and everybody in baseball should want him to come back and do his thing. All right, we're in the 17th round. I've got a pick and 2 picks, and I've got a 6-4-6 build right now. Probably gonna go 7-6-7. I don't really know what to do with this next pick. Matt Chapman feels like a steal here if he goes to a ballpark that doesn't kill right-handed power like Toronto does. So I'm going to go ahead and select him in this spot. He was a guy I was drafting a ton of last year. He got off to an absolutely torrid start last year. And I think I'm going to go... I'm going to trust again, doing these high upside arms. I'm going to go with Shane Baz. I'm hesitant to do that because I can't envision a scenario where he throws 180 innings this year. I just don't think that's going to happen. So at what point do the Rays limit his innings? He's coming off of an injury. I mentioned him earlier. Are they going to ease him in to begin? I feel much better about that than if they completely back off of him in August and September, when we're kind of in those playoff rounds in this format. So 18th round Baz, with his pedigree, with his stuff, it feels like a high risk, high reward type of thing. I like making him my 7th pitcher in a 7-pitcher build, especially if I feel pretty good about those first 6, which I feel okay. with my staff. We got Freddie Peralta, Grayson Rodriguez, Carlos Rodon, Kyle Bradish, Eduardo Rodriguez, Bailey Ober, and Shane Baz. How do I feel on DeGrom? Talked about it a little bit earlier. If you're going at it from a perspective of if I can get this team through to the playoffs and maybe even get through that first round without him, because you got to remember the season ends earlier this year than it did last year, if I'm right. And I believe it's the end of the first week of September, like the 7th or so. So I don't think that the Rangers are going to rush him back. I think they would be more inclined to be more careful with him. So I think you're playing with fire there. But if he does come back on a normal schedule, let's say he comes back in like early August, you got to hope that he's fully stretched out and you're going to get a full complement of innings. If you're right and he's there in a normal capacity for those playoff rounds, I mean, you're sitting really freaking pretty. But you're going to have to make it through the entire regular season portion of this contest without him, I think. So I have not drafted him a single time. I love Jacob deGrom. I don't know how you couldn't. But I haven't drafted him a single time, and I haven't drafted Robbie Ray a single time either because of that same exact line of thinking. As more information comes out, as we get through spring training and we get further through the season, we're going to have an in-season contest pop up and some other stuff. Even for the preseason contest, I could see a world where we get better than expected news early for both of those guys, and maybe it kind of makes more sense. But I am 100% out on DeGrom and Robbie Ray this year because I just don't know that they're going to be there in time to actually help our teams out. But it's absolutely a risk that could pay off if you get it right. My build 7-5-6 in the 19th round, so I got 2 more picks here. I'm going to shut off pitcher because I'm done with pitcher. And I think this is going to be a 7-6-7 build. I don't know. There are not really any outfielders that I like at the end here. Yeah, Robbie Ray and Jacob deGrom are not comparable skill set wise. I mean, deGrom is clearly better than Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're going to take that risk, I would do it with deGrom and not Robbie Ray. I see our guy Yainer Diaz. He's going to get a ton of steam as the season progresses, drafting season. Tyro Estrada went. I didn't notice that. We're scrambling. Oh no! All right, Francisco Alvarez. There we go. I don't know. Do I just hope I get outfield right and go 7 infielders here? I think I'm going to do that. Rowdy Teles. Let's see. Who else is in this range that we... Ruckle. I've been drafting a little bit of Junior Caminero lately. I'm really worried about his playing time. I don't have any Brandon Drury. I think he's going to play every day in LA. And I think you could do worse. Let's go Julian. Did I miss it? I didn't. Woo! Okay. All right. That's my first Edouard Julien share as well this year. So I really like Francisco Alvarez at 236. He has a massive amount of power. And he's going to be in the Mets lineup every day, whether it's his catcher, DH, or whatever. So I like his potential upside in that range. So I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the draft play out, I think. Kenta Maeda just went. He's another one of the late round pitchers that I really like. He's had trouble staying healthy, but when he's there, he's a solid pitcher. Ranger Suarez is another guy that's been going late that I like as well. You saw me search for Tyro Estrada. He's a guy I've been trying to get in quite a bit late. Where did he go? He went at 217. I have a ton of Brandon Lau again. The concern, there's twofold concern with Brandon Lau. One, can he stay healthy? Two, playing time situation in Tampa Bay is always, kind of iffy. They play a ton of guys. But when he's on the field, the dude mashes. So I like his potential upside. So here's the draft that we just completed. Picking from the 11th spot, the 776 build. Again, I'll just run it down here. Freddie Peralta, Grayson Rodriguez, Carlos Rodon, Kyle Bradish, Eduardo Rodriguez, Bailey Ober, and Shane Baz. A mixture of, I think, some very, very high upside arms, strikeout-wise, and three guys who should be just kind of consistent, strikeout per inning-ish type of guys. Infield, Bryce Harper, Ellie De La Cruz, Tristan Cassis, my first share of both of those guys. Rhys Hoskins, he's in the thumbnail. I had to draft him. Matt Chapman, Francisco Alvarez, and Edouard Julien. And then outfield, we've got Kyle Tucker, Christian Yelich, George Springer, Riley Green, Chris Bryant, and Jarren Duran. That is the 35th? Yeah, it is the 35th one. Have these two gotten canceled yet? Absolutely. No, they haven't. I literally named these two absolutely will be canceled and canceled for sure. It was my second draft, I think, was the one that I thought was going to get canceled. Anyway, this is a different team than I've been drafting. I've got multiple guys in here, on offense at least, that I don't have any exposure to so far this year. And I don't have that much Bryce, which doesn't feel great. So that's the team. I think that's going to do it for this one. My name's Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train. I call this thing Off the Rails. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Probably do one more stream this week ahead of Christmas time. We'll see what happens next week. I'm just doing the streams when the schedule works out. So I would imagine we're going to start seeing other people in this space. Not that I'm a person in this space, but we're going to see like the Badge Bros and those guys, I'm sure, start to stream more MLB stuff once the football regular season ends. So try to just catch my footing and hopefully have a good time along the way when I do these. But planning on doing 100 in the bullpen, planning on doing 100 in the dinger. We'll see how it all works out. But again, thank you for stopping by. If you could, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, all the normal YouTube mumbo jumbo. I appreciate anybody stopping in and saying hey. So thanks. Carly, Primetime, Dark Sheep, appreciate you guys checking in. We'll see you guys on the next one, probably sometime this week. Until then, take care.